Well, we are continuing our look back on the year since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus crisis a pandemic. And in that very same week, back in March 2020, when it all began, America's largest manufacturing companies were rather quick to jump in and play their part, including Ford, jumping in that same week to prototype how they could make PPE, as that was much needed early on in the pandemic and basically every day since. And for more on that, I want to welcome Jim Baumbick, Ford's Vice President of Enterprise Product Line Management, joins us now. And Jim, for you personally, just looking back to all that, it's not easy, I assume, to kind of just shift complete manufacturing lines from cars over to masks. But as you reflect on it, what do you make of how far we've come in the year and your guys' efforts there at Ford to play, as I said, your part?
Yeah, so it really was an incredibly fast shift. What was really inspiring to me is the way that all of our employees, our UAW partners, our supplier partners, all just kind of raised their hand. Everybody wanted to see what they could do to help. And what started for us is a conversation around what Ford's legacy has been. We've been around for 117 years. And I remember it was March 17th. So we're coming up on our 1 year from really when we kicked this off. And there was this like a groundswell of discussion around we've built bombers, we've built iron lungs, and there has to be something we can do. And that was really the catalyst for us to kind of reach out, identify where we could have the biggest impact. And from there on out, we've been kind of pedals down, doing everything and anything we can to help those first responders as well as patients alike.
Jim, there's been so much focus on vaccine distribution over the last few months, but I wonder where demand stands right now with PPE. What are you seeing in terms of this initiative for Ford? How long do you go with it?
Yeah, so we're willing to kind of go as long as is necessary. We want to make sure the job gets done. And PPE has been a constant need since March of last year. We're actively very much involved in distributing PPE. So we've distributed 117 million level 3 surgical masks through our Ford dealers and the Ford Fund to get those out into communities that may not have access to PPE. And the important part of that is that we know if we wear masks and we leverage safe COVID protocols, we could save lives. But at the same time, all the way back to March, when we were thinking about how do we get back our employees into the work environment, we quickly identified that wearing a cloth mask can take away somebody's senses in many respects. For those that need to lip read, maybe hard of hearing, it just becomes an incremental challenge. And so from those early days, we were inspired to how would we actually help those employees. And in fact, we've been actively working. We have a patent pending on a Clearview respirator, which our goal is to get that to N95 certification and make that available as an incremental device to protect occupants in these types of environments until we are at a point where we're back to normal and we've got that herd immunity and this under control.
Yeah, and Jim, it's going to be a bit, well, we're just hearing from medical experts, the timelines there to get to herd immunity. And you guys have shifted kind of your manufacturing lines, I'm sure, to kind of make it safer through all this, whether or not it is social distancing or using those masks you're talking about. But now vaccines playing a pretty important piece of this too. So what does it look like for you guys that have kept up manufacturing, whether it's on cars or masks, through all this? What vaccines and kind of what you're hearing from employees wanting to be safe on the line looks like? How's Ford handling that?
Well, from the very early days, our employees are our most important asset, and so we needed to make sure that they were safe when they went back to work. And we've had a very effective playbook, return to work, on all the safe protocols for COVID interaction in the workplace, and that's actually proved quite well for us over the course of the year. As vaccines start to become available, certainly we're going to make that available, working with partners to our employees as a choice for them to make, and certainly something we would encourage. But we're going to continue to use all of those playbook items, safe protocols, using the masks, and all of the monitoring and tracing as a mechanism to ensure we robustly get through this and again protect our employees in any way, shape, or form.